Hello friends, this is Shelley from Koala Knits and Knacks. Thank you for clicking on this tutorial. So glad you joined me. We are going to make this adorable unicorn. I have wanted to make a unicorn for a long time now and just haven't got to it till now, so I'm so happy to present it to you. I used all Bernat Premium yarn. There is 6 colors: white, robin's egg, baby yellow, pink macaroon, baby lilac, and purple. I also used my 22 needle machine and my 46 needle machine for this project. So it's a fun project. There are lots of different techniques to learn. So it's a longer project, but once you've made one of these unicorns, you'll be able to whip off ones after that with no problem, much quicker. So persevere through the video and join me. We're going to have a good time together and you're going to love the outcome, I'm sure. Please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. That means a lot to me, friends. Please do that. And once you have your supplies ready, we're going to just get right into it. All right, so it's time to begin. I've got my 46 needle Addi. If you have your 48 needle central, that's fine too. You can use it and do the same row counts. Okay, we're gonna bring the last white and the first black needle in line with our yarn feeder. Just got to move my light here a little bit. There we go. In line with the yarn feeder. And we're going to take our white yarn. We're gonna cast on, going behind that black needle, in front of the next, behind and in front, all the way around. Okay. And when I cast on like this, I just let it slip through my fingers. I'm not putting any tension on it at all. It's just, I'm just guiding it. Okay. And then I find that the second row is much easier to knit. So just let it slip through your fingers, weave in and out, behind and in front of all those needles before you get to the end, which I color that black. I take a black permanent marker and color that divider between my last white and my first black, so I always see it coming around. Before I get to the end, I'm going to set my row counter to 0 so I'm ready to go, okay? And we're going to pop that into our yarn guide. This is a brand new ball of Bernat Premium, so I have already taken quite a bit of it out of the ball and just let it pile on the floor, so it's easier to use. If it's tight coming out of the ball, you will have trouble, so you just want to make sure that you've got it lots of slack on the back, okay? Now what I do is I hold this between my fingers like that, or my fingers like that. Either way works fine. And I'm putting just a very light tension on it. I also have a tensioner that I sometimes use, but for this project, I'm gonna just let it slip through my fingers and put a light tension on it, okay? And we're just gonna keep knitting. The one thing I have found over my time of knitting that it's important to do is to only use the yarn that works in your machine. You will look back on some of my older videos, etc., and you'll see I've used yarn that was tough to use, and that resulted in tuck stitches and just frustration, etc. Pay a little bit extra. Get the yarn that you know works in your machine, and look how beautiful this is. This is Bernat Premium. Regular Bernat yarn doesn't do the same in my machine as the Bernat Premium does. Okay, now I'm going to take some more slack out of my ball because I used all that. And just use the yarn that is right with your machine. Okay, this one works beautifully. I'm going to take lots of slack out of there and just pile it up on the floor. That's another key. Okay, and then you have easy knitting. See how nicely that goes? Another thing is to keep your speed, your speed even. So if you want your tension to be nice, you keep your speed even. I generally do not go faster than this because I think, you know what, if we want a beautiful looking project, you got to take the time for it. If you're going to whip through and just like go crazy with your handle, you're going to be going fast in some places and slow in other places, and your tension is not going to be the same throughout your whole project. So find a nice even speed, and if it takes you a little longer to make your project, you're better for it, okay? So those are just a couple tips that I wanted to tell you as we continue knitting. And you're going to knit with your white for 70 rows. Okay? Now it's loose enough coming out of my ball that I don't have to pull it. It's just automatically coming out nicely. I'm going to keep going. And when I get to around row 50 or 55 and it starts to touch the table, I'll see you back. All right, so for those of you who are new, when your project starts to hit the table like that, you want to make sure that you roll it up for tension along the rim of the barrel here, because if it continues to just buckle up on the table there, it pushes it up like this, and then you could risk dropping those little loops off these little red teeth. And if you do that, then your row will start to drop. Okay, so you want an unravel. So you want to just pick it up and just roll it over on itself and make a donut. Okay. And that will prevent that problem. It also helps to keep the tension even around the outside rim as you're knitting, and it looks cute. Okay, so anyways, that's what you do once it starts to hit the table, and every 15 or 20 rows, you just keep rolling it. So I'm going to keep going. I'm almost there, actually. This is 62, and I'm going to go till 70. All right, friends, keep going. I'll see you right back in a second. Okay, this is row 70. I'm going to wait for that black divider to come around right here that I've marked, and then I know that I'm done. When you do that, you just don't pass your, sometimes if you don't have that there, you guess where your black needle is coming in. Sometimes you'll go past and then you have to back up and reduce it, take out stitches, and it's just so much easier to take a black marker and mark that divider. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to take a piece of yarn tail that goes around your machine 1.5 times, or just eyeball a long piece. The more you do this, the more you know how much to do without having to actually measure it around your tube or around your barrel. We're going to take our needle and we're going to cast off. Okay, so this yarn tail is between the last white and the first black. If it's not, then you're going to drop a row. Okay, we still have to have this needle drop down and finish this row, this stitch here, and we have to have this needle pick up this yarn and take it down and finish that stitch. So make sure it's between the last white and the first black. Then you can rotate your handle and take off those stitches. Okay, when the needle drops down, then that stitch is ready to take off. And I take off one at a time like this until I get about 5 or 6 off. Okay, if you're new, make sure that you don't pull up so hard on this yarn here that it pulls up in your whole project and takes that loop off your red needle, because if that does, your row is going to drop. Okay, so until you get the right feel of the tension, then what I would suggest you do is you take one off and put your finger on the next one, just like that, so it doesn't drop off. And then pull this through and continue on, okay? And once you get the tension and the feel of it, then you won't need to do that. It won't take very long. Okay, friends, go ahead, remove every stitch from your machine, and I'll see you back. Okay, so I have the project off the machine. We're going to unroll it. If you hear like a fuzzy sound in the background, it's because I'm downstairs in my craft room and it's cold down here, so I have a floor heater on. So I hope that's not too distracting. Okay, we're going to stretch it out widthwise and lengthwise just to get all those rows lined up and our stitches nice and smooth. Look at how beautiful that looks. I just love Bernat Premium. I just love it. It's my favorite yarn. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to cinch one end. Doesn't matter which end you start with. Okay, so we're going to unroll this so it's nice and smooth. Okay, then we're going to just pull on that end and keep putting your thumb in there. See how I'm just flattening that out so that when you close it up, you have a nice smooth end. If you just go and pull it tight and don't take the time to smooth it out, you won't have as nice of a top. Okay, so we're going to oh my goodness. Grab our needle. I'm going to thread it with that yarn tail. Okay, I can cut that off. Doesn't need to be quite that long, but that's okay. I'm just going to leave it for now. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to reinforce this around the top. Just like that. Around the top row of stitches, pulling it through and tightening. And you want to go around at least once, okay? So smooth that out. Then you get under that first row of stitches, just like that. And you pull it through. Okay, smooth that out. I have a little bit more, and then I believe I've made it around. And I'm going to pull. And a little bit more. Okay, just like so. Pull that tight. we're going to just grab 2 strands there, and we're going to tie it off. Take your thumbnail and push that knot down, okay? Then you're going to put your hand into the center. You're going to pop that needle down through that middle hole, bring it through, grab it with your hand on the other side, pinch your project up at the top here, and pull that through. Okay, just like so. All right. I'm going to cut this off because we do not need that length, okay? But I'm going to save that long tail because I'll use that later. Then we're going to take this other side, and we're going to find the end, and we're going to do the same thing, okay? Making sure that the tail of the inside one always remains out, because we're going to snug up these two together, just like what we would do a beanie. So I'm going to pull that, and you see how it's curling up there? I don't want that, so I'm going to take my thumb, I'm going to smooth that out. It's the attention to detail that I always talk about. Again, if you were to just tug on this, you would close it, but if you don't take the time to smooth it out, your closure won't be as nice as it could be, okay? We're going to go ahead, and we're going to reinforce around that circle on this top one as well, okay? Okay, so now that you have that done, I took the needle off. We're going to take the 2, only because it's easier to tie with the needle off. We're going to take the 2, and we're going to tie them really tight, bringing that inside layer right up close to the top layer. You can put your hand in there and push it up to make sure that it's all the way up. Makes it easier to tie so that you don't break your strands, okay? And then you're going to, I do a triple knot in things like this, okay? I'm gonna 1, 2, and 3, okay? Then what we're gonna do is we're going to cut that off. You're going to place these back on your needle, and we're gonna put them in between the 2 layers. Okay, as close to that center as you can, and then in between the 2 layers. Then you can pull it up a little bit, cut it off, and then lift up on that so that yarn tail goes right into the end there. Okay, from there we're gonna smooth it out, okay, on the inside and the outside, just so that we get that very bottom edge, okay? And we're going to mark off the separation from our body to our head. Okay, we're going to take some yarn, put it on your needle, one that goes around 1.5 times, and that should be long enough. Then we're going to go to the very bottom of your piece, okay? And you're going to see where this row is right at the very bottom there, or this stitch, okay? You're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, it's hard to see if you don't lift up on it, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 is right there, okay? We're going to go into row 20. And from there, we're going to just pick up that first half of that one stitch, and then we're going to go over the second half. We're going to pick up the first half of that next stitch, over the second half, pick up, over, up, over, up, over, staying on that same row as much as possible, okay, till you get all the way around. Okay, so I'm going to pull that through so that I have a little bit of yarn there. I'm going to then smooth my hat out again. My hat. Yes, it looks like a hat, but it's really not, honest. And then we're going to just keep going all the way around, okay? So under, over, under, over, under, over, under. Picking up half of every stitch as we go around. Pulling it through, and you see that's pretty straight. And because we're knitting in the round, when you come to the end, it's going to be jogged off. You'll be up here or down here, depending. Okay, and you'll see that when I get to the end, but that's okay. It's not going to make any difference in our shape. Okay, so keep going all the way around, trying to stay as much as you can on that same row. If you find that you're way off when you get to the end, then pull it out and keep going. Okay, and then do it again. So under, over, under, over. All right, so I can see when I'm coming to the end that I'm going to be just in that row that's right above, okay? Because then what it does is that's how it works when you're in the round. That's why our joins are we're always trying to do a jogless join on a piece that we're trying to, when we change colors, because when we're knitting in the round, it doesn't match up with the exact same row, okay? So what I'm going to do is you can not just take it to there and leave it, or you can do what I'm going to do. So here, where are we here? We're there, 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 there. I'm going to just go down doot, 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 and doot. Just like that. Okay, no worries. You don't have to do that. It's not. Honestly, it's not even going to tell. But if you're particular like I am, then you'll likely do it. Okay. Now what we're going to do is I'm just going to cut this one off a little bit shorter. I'm going to leave this be for now. Just tie a little bit of a slip knot in there just to hold it in place. Just like that, and let it be. You're going to grab one more piece of yarn that's equal in length, and we're going to begin stitching up the bottom. Now for this particular one, I am going to embroider the eyes on. You can use safety eyes if you like, and if you do that, you're going to want to make sure that you eyeball where you're going to put them and get them put in there before we close up the bottom here. Or if you have the ones that I have, that I have two different kinds, and one kind that I have is it's a needle and thread one, so you can finish your whole project and then thread them on. And if I change my mind and decide to use safety eyes, those are the ones that I will use for this project. But for me now, I think I'm going to just be embroidering them. You will see what I chose when you looked at the beginning of the video, okay? But if you're going to add safety eyes, then you have to figure out where you're going to put them and add them before we stuff it and close it, okay? But for now, what we're going to do is we're going to take that bottom stitch. So you're going to fold that out, smooth that out again to make sure that you're at that very bottom edge. And we're going to pick up 2 bars this time. So 1 full stitch. Go over 2, pick up 2, over 2, pick up 2, all around the base of that stitch, okay? Or of that row. So over 1 row, pick up 1 row, which is basically a stitch. And there we go. Just like that, all the way around the perimeter until you meet back up, and then I'll see you back. Once we've made it around, it should look something like this, okay? And so then we pull on that, we're going to close up the bottom. But before we do that, we're going to take our fiber fill and we're going to fill the piece. Okay? We're doing one section at a time on this video. Rather than making all the pieces and then finding them, we're doing a piece, we're assembling, making the next piece, assembling, and that's how my video is going to go for this one, okay? Hope that's okay with you. Rather than make all the pieces and then do it afterwards, okay? So we're going to just put a little bit in there, and we're going to now take some more, and we're going to fill the body. We don't want this to be like a fat, cuddly bear. We want him to be a nice, lean unicorn, okay? So it doesn't need quite as much stuffing. So I'm going to start with that. I'm going to pull this tight, and then once this is pulled tight, I'm just going to assess the situation. I think that's good, actually. It's a lot less fiber fill than what I normally use. So it doesn't, like I'm showing some self-restraint in how much I'm stuffing this, but I'm going to now tighten that. The head needs more. I can see that right now, but I'll tell you why I determined that. And let me just tie a knot here first to get this kind of going. Because when you have overlapping pieces here at the top, you know you're not nearly stuffed enough, okay? You don't want fold over pieces like that. So I tighten that neck a little bit, and I'm gonna just go ahead and put a little bit more into there. Right up to the top. Making sure these 2 drawstrings don't get caught up in there, okay? Pushing that up. When you tighten your neck a little bit, it's easier to get it up in there and have it stay. We're going to reinforce that neck anyways, so it's not where it needs to be at this point. Okay. I really think that that's pretty much there. Maybe push a little bit more up into there. Not much. Okay, just to smooth out those little folds a little bit better. Okay, you also want to make sure that your rows here aren't separating like this. If your rows are separating like that, take out a lot of stuffing. You don't want that. You want your piece to look beautiful and straight and finished. And if you overstuff, it just doesn't look nice. So you want to make sure that you're not doing that, okay? So now what I'm going to do is going to put one side back on, and I'm just going to go pick up pieces. Generally, I will pick up where it's what I call a valley and go over the hills. Pick up a valley over the hills. But for this, I don't need to, okay? I'm just going to grab sections just like this. And I'm going to go all the way around, following that neck. Okay, and if you've cut this one too short, then take it off and thread this one and meet it halfway. I'm going to actually do that, okay? So I'm going to now thread this one. I'm going to meet back to this point, and then I'll see you back, okay? All right, I've made it around, so I'm going to take this, and I'm going to tie it again. Snug it up. This is where I always wish I had 3 arms, 3 hands, because it would be so much easier. Somebody should make a little gadget. There's so many inventors out there making little things that help us in our knitting. They should make a little gadget that holds the knot there while you can use both hands freely to tie. So give that as a challenge to somebody out there who's an inventor and making little things. Okay, so we're going to put these 2 strands back on our needle. We're going to go into that neckline and up into the head, underneath the stuffing, and out one of the stitches, okay? And there we've got our head. Now we're going to, and I took most of that stuffing. After I cinched it the first time, then I was able to push most of that stuffing up into the head. And it's perfect just the way it is. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stuff the body, and then I'll see you back. All right, so as you stuff the body, then you can pull on these 2 drawstrings, and that helps to make the opening a little bit smaller and helps the stuffing to stay in there, okay? Pull up on it, assess the situation. That's perfect, because I don't want a big round heavy head and a big round heavy body. We've got more stitches on the body, which makes it longer, but to also make it appear longer, we don't stuff it quite so much, okay? And so now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tie off this bottom to close it. And I'm going to get it as closed as I can. Tie a knot. Then I'm going to put my yarn tail on my needle, and I'm going to go around and I'm going to keep reinforcing that till I can get that part closed. Okay, and before you get it finally closed, assess the situation again and see if you want to add a little bit more. But you see how that looks red? This looks more round, and this looks more oval and long. That's because of the way we stuffed it. Okay, so that's important to follow too. Don't go ahead and stuff this one as tightly as the top one, or you'll have 2 big round balls and it'll look like a snowman. Okay, so go ahead and do that, and I'll see you back when you're done. Okay, so that's just exactly how I like it, okay? And so I've tied off the 2 ends together once I got it nice and tight, and I'm going to thread these 2 ends onto my yarn needle. I'm taking my metal wool needle now, 'cause it's easier to thread. Right, I tell you it's easier, and then I can't get it. Okay, there we go. And we're going to pop that into the center there, and up through a stitch. Pull it out, and snip it off and let it fall back in. Then you can take your needle and just make sure it's all in there. Just don't snag it like what I just almost did. Okay, and then there we go. We've got our face, we've got our body. Now, oh, it's so cute. Now it's time to make our arms, and we're going to grab our Addi 22 needle machine to do so. Okay. All right, so I have my 22 needle machine set up. Give this a little shine. And we're going to take our white yarn, and we're going to bring our last white, our first black needle in line with our yarn feeder. We're going to cast on. Behind that black, in front of the next. Behind and in front, all the way around. Okay? Just like what we did for the body. After it's in front of that white needle, we're going to pop it into our yarn feeder, set our row counter to 0. I usually do that actually halfway around so I don't forget like I almost did. Okay? Make sure there's slack coming out of your ball. And we're going to just straighten it just like this. I always pull this little tail down too. I find that helps on that first needle. Again, I have a very light tension between my fingers like that, okay? And we're going to just knit 35 rows. Okay, so you go ahead, knit 35 rows, then cast off, just like what we did with the body, okay? And I'll see you back when I get to the end here. Maybe we'll do that together. All right, made it to the end of 35 rows. I'm going to cut off a long tail that would go around my barrel 1.5 times at least, okay? We're going to open our yarn feeder, put it between the last white, first black. Again, very important that you make sure they're between those two needles, okay? We're going to thread our needle, and we're going to remove our project. Okay, so these are the arms. We did 35 rows. Cast on, 35 rows, cast off. Okay, you're going to do this all the way around until you get all your stitches off. And then you're going to make a second one. Okay, guys? Go ahead and do that, and I'll see you back. All right, so we have our two pieces off the machine. We're going to stretch them widthwise and lengthwise. And we're going to set them aside for now, okay? I said we were going to do piece by piece, but because our machine is set up already, we're going to go ahead and make the legs as well. Time for our legs. For this part, we're going to need waste yarn, okay? So you're going to grab a waste yarn color in a contrasting color. Now, let me see if I can find the end to this one. Okay, so let's see there. There we go. It felt so good after Christmas. I used my yarn winder and I took every ball of yarn that I have in my drawer, which is a lot, and I made them all into cakes. I just love it, okay? We're going to cast on behind that first block in front, just like what we've been doing. Okay. Now, it's personal preference how many rows of waste yarn that you like to use, but I always do 7, okay? So we're going to do 7 rows. And the reason why we use waste yarn, for those of you who are new and might not know, is because if we want to do a straight edge closure on our piece, we need to be able to see those stitches well enough to do that. Oh, my ball now got tangled all around here. Hang on. We need to be able to see the stitches. So if you take a contrasting color of yarn to your working yarn, then you can see your stitches very easily. And you'll see what I mean by that once we start working on closing our legs, okay? So I don't know how many rows that is. I'm going to do one more, and before I get to the end, I'm going to set my row counter to 0. Okay, and I'm going to finish that black divider in front of my yarn feeder. Open the yarn feeder, put that waste yarn tail between the last white, the first black. I am going to grab my white yarn again, insert that into my yarn guide, and I'm going to hold both tails. I'm going to knit 3 or 4 needles, and I'm going to pull this. And once I've pulled that and snugged up those stitches there, I'm going to continue on. Oops, move my scissors. I've set my row counter. I'm going to continue knitting for 35 rows. And this is row 35. I'm going to stop when that black divider comes in front. I actually did 36 rows by mistake, but that's okay. I'll just make sure my next one is 36 rows. Not going to make much difference, okay? But 35 rows is what you should do, okay? Then I'm going to cut off a tail, pop that in the center there between the last white, the first black, and then I'm going to grab my waste yarn. Same one I used before. We're going to pop that into our yarn guide. In between the last white, the first black, and we're going to knit off. I'll do 7 or 8 rows. If I'm going to set this aside for any length of time, and I know it's going to get jostled around, I'll do more rows because this unravels very, very easily. And we don't want our work to unravel. I'm going to do one more row. I've lost count with talking to you. Cut that yarn tail. I put it between the last white, the first black. I'm going to rotate my barrel twice. And then it comes off. Okay. And this little one got snugged around there, but that's okay. We're going to help that off. And there's our piece. Okay. Just like that. Set that aside. Go ahead and make one more, and I'll see you back. All right. So we have our arms and we've got our legs off the machine. We're going to do the same thing with our legs that we did with the arms, stretch them widthwise and lengthwise. And you see how that just makes it so much more beautiful. We're going to start with our arms. So what we're going to do is we're going to take one end and we're going to pull it tight. Essentially, this is a repeat of what we've been doing, what we did for our body, okay? I should really be using a needle that's a little bit smaller than this one, but that's okay. We'll make it work. We're going to go around just once and reinforce that edge. Okay, that just the very top row of stitches. Pull that tight. Then you're going to grab 2 little bars, 2 little stitches there, and make a little knot. Pull that down with your thumb, okay? Then you're going to poke that in through the center there. Grab the needle with your hand on the inside so you don't snag the work, okay? Then you're going to bring that end in and through. So you've essentially put this in half, then you can pull this through, okay? We're gonna do what we did before in the sense that we are going to then take this piece and we're going to smooth it out. We're going to go ahead and we are going to reinforce around that outside layer there too. Tie these two really tight together, bringing the inside up close to the outside. Then hide that tail in through the layers. And when you get that part done, I'll see you back. Do it with both of your arms, okay? Okay, so just finished the second one. I'm going to put that one aside with the other one. We're going to take one of our legs. Now you might be saying, why are you doing the legs differently on the ends? And that is because I want it to be more of a flat edge because we're putting them on the bottom of the body, more so that he can sit on them. And I'd rather have a flat edge than a little bubbly edge, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to put it in half just like what you saw me do as I was talking. And we are going to grab our crochet hook. Find all 4 ends first, okay? So there's one there. There's one there. There's these 2 right here, okay? So all 4 ends are out. We're going to grab a crochet hook, and for me, I'm grabbing my 5mm hook, okay? And what we're gonna do is we're going to take some stitch markers as well. Okay, so let me just grab a couple of those. I only need 2, okay, this time. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take those stitch markers and we're gonna put them in the stitch that's at the far right, okay? So not this last one here, but the one where at the top one here, the inside layer. Well, depends which way you folded it, but we're gonna take this stitch and put a stitch marker in it right there, just so we can find it later. Sometimes when you go all the way around, it gets tight at the end and you have a hard time finding your stitch, okay? And so for this one, it's the one that's right beside the yarn tail there, so I'm gonna put a stitch marker in there, okay? We're gonna just sew these together. So you're going to take your hook and you're going to put it, almost put it in the top, doesn't matter, into that first stitch there. So this is the last stitch that we're going to work. This is the first one. We're going to put our hook through that. Then we're going to go up to this top one. That's the very first one there. And we're going to yarn over, like put our hook through that loop and yarn over it and bring it through, okay? Then we're going to go back down to the bottom. We're going to grab that next loop and bring it through the loop on the hook. Grab the one at the top, bring it through. Now that's 4. The first one we had on our hook was counted as 1. Then we worked 2, 3, 4. Now we're going to go back down and do 5 and 6 and 7, 8, 9, 10, and we should be, this is 11, 12. When we get all the way around, the last 2 bobby pins will be 43 and 44, okay? The reason why you want to count is because you do not want to drop, you don't want to miss one of these little loops, because if you do, that row will start to unravel, okay? So that's why you want to be very careful that if you aren't 100% sure that you've caught all the stitches, that you count them as you go around. It's very, very important. Once you've done this like many times, like for me with this such a great contrast in the color, I don't have to count because I've done this so many times that I know exactly where the stitches are. Not to say I can't make a mistake, because of course I can. But if you're new, it's important that you count as you go around, okay? So keep going till you get around and I'll see you at the end. All right, so the first loop that we put our hook in was the one on the bottom here, on the bottom row. And so that counted out as 1 and 2, 3, 4. So all this bottom row is all odd numbers, okay? So that would mean that this second last stitch that we're gonna do is stitch 43. So you can pick that one up and take out the stitch marker. Then you're going to go up to the top and pull up on that stitch marker, because sometimes it's hard to get at, and that's 44. Just like so. Then you're going to take your yarn tail, the one at the top, put it through just like that. Then you'll take both these white tails and you'll just tie a nice knot. Okay, just like that. I'm just going to cut them so they're even length. Now we can go ahead and we can take our waste yarn off. So on the one end, I got a knot here, but on the one end, it'll come off just by unraveling it like this, okay? And we pull, 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 pull. And it's out. I'm going to wind that up later because I'm going to reuse it. Then for this other one, you see that the yarn, when you pull on that tail, it's coming this way, okay? So you want to turn this around. Oops, no, that's wrong. So if it's coming this way, you know you got to pull. You want to take that first row out. So we're going to roll it up until you see that very top row, and you rock this back and forth and it goes through that very top loop. Pinch the stitch, pull that out. Go back around about 5 or 6 stitches, roll it up to the very, very top, pinch the stitch, pull the tail. And do that one more time. And again, now that you've got that first row released, you can go ahead and pull off your waste yarn. Okay, just like that. We've got our piece. It's like a nice little wrist warmer. So another idea, if you need wrist warmers, or, you know, sports warmers that you put on your, when we were kids and we played volleyball, I don't know, it was a thing. We always had to have wrist warmers. It must have been like a fad thing back in the day, and it was cool or something. I don't know. You don't see it anymore. I guess it was a sweatband, so, you know, you can wipe the sweat off your forehead. I don't know. I never worked hard enough in my sport to have to use it. Okay, so then we're going to take our needle. I wasn't very athletic. I tried, but I was one of those kids that, you know, you tried because you wanted to be in sports, but yeah, I just never made it very far. But that's okay. I didn't need to. There we go. So we hid that, and now we're going to set that aside. We're going to do that to the next one, the second one. We're going to set it aside along with our arms, and then we're going to grab our 22 needle machine again and 4 different colors that you want to use for the tips. Okay, so go ahead, finish off your second one, then get your 22 needle machine and 4 colors of yarn. Okay, and I'll see you back. All right, so for the little balls that go in the feet and the arms, we're gonna need 4 different colors. Okay, so I've got pink, yellow, green, and purple here, and we're going to use our 22 needle machine. We're gonna cast on, just like what we've been doing, okay? Behind and in front, all the way around. I'm not going to do this whole part with you. I'm just going to tell you, since we've done this procedure more than once, okay? Set your row counter to 0. You're going to knit 18 rows, okay? And when you're done your 18 rows, you're going to cut off a long tail, make sure that it goes between the last white, the first black, and you're going to just cast off like we normally do. No waste yarn needed for this, okay? So cast on, do 18 rows, cast off, and if you're using the same color for all 4 balls, then you just make 4 of them. If you're doing multicolored like what I'm doing, I'm going to do 1 with each color and having 4 in total, okay? So cast on, 18 rows, cast off, and I'll see you back. All right, so once you have your 4 pieces done, you're going to stretch them, of course. Then you're going to pull the one end tight. You're going to reinforce it around that edge, just like what we've done before. Magic of camera, I've already done it. Okay, and I've tied my knot. Then you're going to stick your needle through that little hole. Bring it out. Oops, lost my needle. And bring that side out too, just like what we did before, okay? So you've got this one side out here. You're going to now cinch up this side. Okay? Reinforce it around. Then you're going to tie these 2 really tight together, and you'll have a flat circle like this, okay? You can cut off your edges just like that, and we're going to attach another piece. But okay, so once you go ahead and you reinforce this outside edge, you just take these 2 and you tie them together really tight. Just like that. You don't even have to reinforce it once, actually. I didn't on this one. I did the other one, but I didn't this one because I want to get this clip done. Okay, I'm going to cut them off. And you don't need to because it's going to be hidden. It's not going to matter, okay? And you do that to all 4 pieces, and I'll see you back. All right, here's 3 of them. I have the 4th one done, but I already finished an arm, which I'll show you in a second. So you should have 4 colors. Then what you're going to do is you're going to fold this up, smooth out your sides, and you're going to do exactly what we did before. And we're going to go around the ridge there, around the rim, picking up every second row, every second stitch to make a drawstring around our piece, okay? So there it is. I've gotten all around. And then you're going to take some fiber fill. We don't want to stuff this very full, okay? And we're going to pull it closed. That's way too much. I want I'll show you. I don't want a ball. I want more of an oblong egg shape, okay? I want it very soft, just like that, okay? So it looks like a ball, but once we get it tied, we're gonna play with it, and we're gonna be able to get it oblong, sort of, okay? So don't put too much in there, just enough to give it its shape, okay? And then we're going to tie that off, tuck that in, tie it off, just like that, okay? Then take it and shape it so it's more of an oval, okay? Most of it's not going to show 3/4 of it, but we just want a nice little piece just like that, okay? While we're at that, you're going to do that with all 4 pieces, but what we're going to do now with that is we're going to take one of our arms, okay? Move on to the next part, whatever color you want to use for your arm, and we're going to cut that tail off so it's just really quite short. You're going to make sure that the center there is what's at the very tip. We're going to pop that into our arm, okay, just like that. Then you're going to put some white yarn, pardon me for my mess, some white yarn on your needle, just like that, okay? And then we're going to push that almost all the way down. We're going to pick up maybe about 1/4 of an inch from the center there. And that's going up maybe 2 rows, maybe 3, okay? And we're going to go ahead, we're going to put our needle through that base of that row right there, just through 2 stitches. We're going to pull it through, leaving a tail, okay? You can hold that with your hands so it doesn't get tangled, okay? And then we're going to just pick up, that's the 3rd row right there. And then I'm going to go up and I'm not going to miss one. I'm going to pick up the very next one. Just like that. And then I'm going to go in there, pick up another 2 stitches. Oops, pulled through a little snag there, okay? Then I'm going to grab at the top there. Okay, and then go back down as close as I can to that last stitch. Pick up 2 more bars, which is 1 stitch. Go in here, pick up 1 stitch. And we're going to do this all the way around. So I'm about on the 3rd row, and then I'm going to just pull that a little tighter. Once we get it all sewn on, we gather it tight, and so then it's smaller. This is way too big for the body that we've made, but gets fixed in a minute, okay? So we're going to continue on our merry way around, just like this. Picking up a piece and then going close to that last one and picking up a piece. You're going to do that all the way around, and when you get to the end, I'll see you back, okay? Okay, I'm almost around. Now, some of you might be thinking, Shelley, why didn't you just do color change on your tube? And so then you would have a different color at the very end when you cinched it than what you have for the rest of the project. Then you wouldn't have to do this extra work and blah, blah, blah. Well, if you know me and you've watched my videos, you know that I like attention to detail. So this is more detailed, number 1. Number 2, it provides dimension. Like it's not just one piece. And so I just think that it makes for a nicer project. It's my personal preference. And so that's why I don't just do a color change. So now we're going to tighten this just like that. Okay. Just so you have it just peeping out there. Okay. And then you're going to tie a knot. Just like that. And we're not done yet. You're going to take your needle off. You're going to put this shorter one on, the shorter piece on. You're going to pop that through and you're going to hide it. You're going to cut it off and we're going to put this one back on, okay? So from there, I'm going to go up 3 stitches. So 1, well, it's actually 4 because there's a really small one hanging in there. 2, 3, 4, okay? Pull that through. Then I'm going to tie a knot so that when I pull on this, it's not going to gather it right here. So I'm going to secure it right there. Okay, just with one little tie. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to weave this in and out. I'm not even going to pay attention to how many stitches I'm picking up on the, between, because it really, really doesn't matter. I'm just going to go around just like this, weaving it in and out until I get all the way around. And if you hook some of that green on the inside, that's good too, because it just reinforces it a little bit more. Okay, almost there. Right here. Then you're going to take that and you're going to pull it. See what that did? It makes it look like the little paw is hanging outside of of the arm. I love it. I think it looks great. Okay, so once you pull on that, it's very difficult, but you're going to hold it with your other hand and you're going to tie a knot. See, again, this is where I wish I had more than 2 hands, but we make it work. There we go. Now that I've got that tied off, I'm going to take my white yarn and I'm going to follow that line all the way around like that. I'm going to pull and I'm going to follow it around one more time. Okay, just like so. I'm going to then make another knot right here. Okay, that's one. Oops. And oh, I hope I'm in the camera. And 2. Okay, then from there, we are going to pop this little baby underneath and out and cut it off. Okay, so there you go. Then you can stretch this. You've got a little bit of filling from the rest of this tube inside of there, and the rest will be nice and flat so that it falls nicely on your project. You're going to go ahead and you're going to do that to your other arm, just exactly what I did here with a different color. And here's mine, pink. Okay, those are my 2 arms. So now we're going to work on the legs. So for the legs, you are going to, this piece here that we sewed together, so this is our seamed side, you're going to leave that. We're going to sew that we're going to push it in there and then push it over like that. And we're going to have a flat edge to help shape our leg. But we're going to worry about this other side first. And what we're going to do is we're going to do exactly what we did for the arms, okay? You're going to take your white yarn. You're going to go around the outside perimeter to get a gather. You're going to take one of your little balls here and you're going to fill it same amount as the arms. You don't want to overfill it, okay? And we're going to put that inside and do exactly the same thing that we did with the arms. We're going to do that for both legs. And when you're done that, I'm so excited to see you back. Then we've accomplished a lot so far, and there's still more to do, but it's not hard. So continue that, finishing that, and then we will get back together. Okay, there are the legs, and these are the arms. Aren't those beautiful colors? Just love, love, love them. We're going to take one arm. We're going to take our piece. We're going to take a piece of white yarn. And we're going to, I'm going to show you how to sew on one arm and one leg. And then you'll do all of them. You're going to find which side you want to be the front. Okay, that looks like a side to me. This is flatter. That's a side. So you find which one you like better. I'm going to go over here. They're all nice, but I'm going to go there. Okay, we've got our little nodule here. I didn't want to really, I don't know, you could have done the other one this way too, but even on my koala, I did this way. I like the legs to look a little bit different than the arms, so you have to choose that. Hopefully you've watched this video in its completion before you actually started. And what you're going to do now is I'm going to just take this arm and I'm going to push that in and just fold it over just a little bit, just like that, okay? Then you're going to attach your yarn. You're going to tie it on. I should get that body out of the way. You're going to tie it on just like that. Okay. This I'm going to just tuck down in there. All I'm going to do is sew this a little bit closed. So I'm going to pick up 2 bars there, pick up 2 here. I'm not even looking to see. Usually I always have the wide part of the V going down for the mattress stitch, but it doesn't matter on this, okay? Because I'm just doing it twice here, okay? So that was doing it twice, just like that. Just to get a little bit of a shape in there. And then I'm going to, oops, put a little knot. This is going to go at the back, okay? Just like that. You can sew that in. Let me just see what I want to do here. No, sorry. I was just a little confused there for a second. I have to think. You're going to flatten it out like this, okay? And that's going to go down on the body. So if this is my front, which one did I side? I liked that side. I'm going to have, once I sewed that together like that, I'm going to now flatten it so it's in the middle. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put it on the side of my body just like that. Okay, and then I'm going to bring this yarn tail up to the top here. I'm just going to check my camera and see if I'm high enough. I think I need to raise my camera. 1 second, friends. There, I think that's better. So now that I've got my yarn tail up in the corner here, I like to bring it across to the middle, okay? Another thing that I always do in my videos, and the reason being is I'll show you in 1 second again, and then we're going to tie a little knot there. Okay, so if it's in the middle of the arm, then when I go to place it on the body, if I know that this is the middle right here, all I got to do is pick up that middle stitch there. And when I pull this up, it's going to automatically be lined up in the middle, just like that, okay? So then from there, I'm going to just pick up some of my arm, then go across, pick up in the neck. 2 or 3 bars, okay? You want to get a good grasp. Then you're going to just pull it tight, okay? Oops, got my nail caught on there. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do it again. Go right close to that stitch that I was just finishing off and pull it up. I always go down 1 or 2 stitches on my arm, okay? I don't just go across the top here. This is the second stitch down right here, okay? I'm gonna go in there. I find it gives a much more rounded effect to the arm than a point at the top here, and I like the rounded effect better. Okay, so there we go. And then that's nice and sewed in there. I'm gonna take this yarn and I'm going to weave it into the middle there. Pull on that, and I'm going to sew across in the same way and tie off and hide my yarn end. I'll do that with both arms, and when I'm done that, I will meet up with you again. All right, so once we have the arms on, isn't that cute? We are going to put our legs on. So we're going to thread our needle with the white yarn again. We're going to grab our piece, just like that. You're going to go right through the center and across, and you're going to just tie this on. You don't need a very long length on the one side because you're going to tuck that in, okay? Just like that. Tuck this into there, get it out of the way, put this long piece back on your needle. Okay, and then from there, we're going to go out to this side here, just at the very top, pick that stitch up. And then we're going to pull on this to bring it in. See, so when I pulled on that, it brought that into the center. I'm gonna go across to the middle side over here and pull that one in. Got sort of like 4 corners there. Okay, pull that one in, and then we're gonna just spread the, well, we need to put a knot in here. So go back over to this other side. Okay, there we go. And put a knot. And then you've got your piece that you can straighten out like that. And you're gonna go ahead and you're going to sew it straight. It gives the leg a really nice shape. Makes it a little bit narrow at the base. Just picking up the top row of stitches there, but it just gives it a nice shape. It's different from the arm, and that's what I want, okay? Because of the way we're gonna place this on the body. And I'm going to go ahead and close this. And into the corner here. Just like that. I'm gonna give that a knot. Then I'm gonna just feed this across into the center here. And close the other side. Okay, I don't want to pull on this though because I don't want to push this end into the middle. So we're just going to go ahead and close the other side till we get to this end, knot it off. Do the same for your second one right here. And when you have both of those done, come back and we'll do the next part. Okay, so we've got our arms on. Looks so fantastic. I sewed one leg on for you, and I'm going to just show you how I'm doing that. And I put the one on just so you can get a visual as to how I angle them. Okay, so we're going to turn our piece upside down. Then this is the middle right here. We're going to have a finger. Just put your finger right over that. Okay, and then you're going to have a finger width between the two, just like that, and it's at an angle. Okay, so there's the front. It's at an angle just like that, facing up towards the arms, but not completely up like that, closer up like to the front, just like that, okay? So it's at an angle, and what we're gonna do is we're going to pick up some stitches here, then go ahead and pick up a stitch there. Make sure that this part is lined up too. Okay, you don't want this up here and this one down there. You want them to be right across from each other. Okay, and then pick up a stitch and pick up a stitch. Oops, sorry, I knocked the camera. Then do that again. Just like that, and you're gonna sew it all the way across, okay? And when you get across, you're gonna reinforce this down, flip it over, make sure it's sitting the way you want it to sit, that they're even, and when it is, then we're gonna do the second part of our attaching, okay? So go ahead, tie it off, then put your next one on, tie it off, and then we will meet back. All right, so this one's tied off, and this one I just tied off. And what we're gonna do now is we're going to fold these up. Let's see if this is a better angle. I'm going to fold that up like that. I'm going to bring this up into the body, just like that, okay? Center of the leg. So I'm just up a little bit. So just when you're holding that up, you just got to find the right place. It's not too far up, but not too far down. And then I'm going to go from that middle of the body, poke it right through the center of the leg, and bring it to the back. Oops, except for it's tied around the other leg. Okay, and from there, I'm gonna now just go over a stitch, come back up into basically the same place, and up into the body, grab a stitch, and bring it through one more time, just like that, okay? We're gonna do that one more time, just going down, just so that we can tie off at the back. Bring it through, okay? And then you're going to just tie off a knot. But instead of tying it off there and seeing a knot, I'm gonna just bring this through to the edge here, okay? tie off a little knot. Just like that. Push it down with my thumb. Do one more. And then take that yarn tail, hide it, and cut it off. You're going to do that with the other leg. Then it's going to sit nicely. So then it'll be more shaped and it'll be the way it should be. It's not just hanging there loosely. Okay. It's not going to sit on its own without propping up against something, but it just gives it a better look. Okay. So go ahead and finish this other leg. And then if you're like me and you've been working on this all day, actually this is day 2. It doesn't take me 2 days to make something like this, as for you too. Once you watch this and you've made one, you can make, you can just whip them off in no time. But when you're making a video and you got to edit and you got to stop and change something or change the lighting, or I'm telling you, my friends, there are 100 things to do that are involved in making a video, which I have great joy in doing, but you just have no idea how time consuming it is. So I'm going to go ahead and put this beautiful little thing down, and I am going to go run a hot bath, and I'm going to have a nice soak for a long time. Maybe that's too much information, but hey, we're friends. We've come a long way together. And I'm going to pick this cutie up tomorrow, and we're going to finish it off. So if you're like me and you've had a long day and you've been working hard, then you go ahead and give yourself a well-deserved break, and we'll see you tomorrow. Good morning, friends. It is a brand new day, and I wish you a very happy new year. Today is January 1st, 2024. Like, can you believe 2024 already? Wow, unbelievable. So anyways, I wish you a very happy and blessed 2024. Now let's continue on with our project, okay? I am going to just tell you what to do for the next 3 pieces, okay? You're going to take your white yarn, you're going to cast on, and you're going to knit 8 rows. This is for the ears, okay? You're going to knit 8 rows, then you're going to cast off, just as we've been doing, no waste yarn needed. Cast on, knit 8 rows, cast off. Do that twice. That will be for the ears. I don't feel I have to do it with you because we've done it so many times already, okay? Then you're going to make the nose part, okay? So you're going to cast on, in and out, like that. You're going to knit 20 rows, then you're going to cast off. Okay? So those 2 things, actually 3, but 2 parts, the ears and the nose, are what we're going to do next, okay? So go ahead and do that. Let me quickly recap for the ears. Cast on, 8 rows, cast off, make 2. For the nose, cast on, 20 rows, cast off, make 1. And do that all in your base color, which is for me white. And when you're done that, I'll meet you back. All right, so we have our pieces off. I already attached one ear. And we're going to take the other ear. I'm going to show you what we did. We're going to stretch it out, just like we do every piece. You gotta stretch the thing, okay? It's amazing how much bigger it gets just from a simple little stretch. You're going to take one end and you're going to pull it tight. Okay? Just like that. You're going to put your needle on. I don't need it to be so long. You're going to put your needle on and you're going to reinforce around that top row of stitches, just like what we've done before, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and do that too. I'm going to go around once and then I'll see you right back. Once we've done that, we will just tie a little knot. Okay. And you can go ahead and hide that in. It's going to be in the center. We're not going to pull that through like we've done in the past, but we're just going to pull it through to the other side and cut it off. Then you're going to take your other side. Let me get this little guy out of the way. You're going to take your other side and you're going to pull that too, but you're not going to pull it tight. Okay. So smooth out your edges. Put your thumb in there. And that's about as tight as you're going to do it, okay? So then what you're going to do, maybe a tiny, tiny bit tighter for me, okay? You're going to put your needle on there. And we are going to just sew it flat, okay? So I'm just going to put a little knot here to start with, just to get it anchored. Oops, Oops. Sure you are. Okay, there. I just shut the camera off for a quick second and undid that knot. And we're going to just make sure that's nice and smooth. We're going to sew it across. Is this how 2024 is going to go, guys? Because then my videos are going to take a long time to do. Okay, so you're going to go ahead and you're going to just sew this across just like this. Okay, you can pick up a stitch if you want. That's the loop that's on that last row if you please, but you don't have to. Okay, and we're just gonna seam that up. Okay, now that we've got that done, we're going to just fold it over. Okay, you can see where this is going. You're going to fold it over like that, just in half. We didn't need to use waste yarn for this little piece. We could easily make it work. So that's why we're doing it this way. And we're going to just sew across there now. No fanciness to it. You just sew it across. Just like that. You can go ahead and tie a knot. Do that to your second ear, okay? And then we've got a piece that looks like that. It's flat on the top. So this is actually, if you're looking at this flat, this is on the side. And that's how we want it to be, okay? So go ahead, do that to your second piece, and then we will join them. All right, so I've joined one already, and you see that this is the flat part, and we've got our opening at the front, okay? And so we're gonna take this little guy, and we're gonna put him on the top there. I'm going down a finger width from the middle. You can see my nails need to be redone. I'm going in a couple days. Okay, so there's the middle right there. I've got 1 finger width down, and it's centered with the arm pretty much, and centered with the arm and a little bit forward, maybe 1 stitch, 1 row forward. Okay, and then you're just going to sew that on just like that. Okay, so go ahead, attach this beautiful little ear, and you'll see from my other ear I still have this tail hanging. I do that intentionally. If I have 2 things to put on, like if I have 2 ears or 2 arms or 2 legs, whatever, I never tie the knot off and hide the end until I have the second one on, so that I know that it's placed where I need it to be. Just because if you go ahead and tie your knot and hide your ends, it's so hard to find, take it out, and it's almost impossible. So it's not impossible, nothing's impossible, but it's hard, okay? So I always wait till the end, but I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to sew that on, picking up a stitch and picking up a stitch in the head all the way till the end, okay? And when that's done, I'll see you back. Okay, perfect. I like how it looks, so I'm gonna go ahead. I'm going to knot it off. Once and twice, and I'm going to put that down into my work and cut it off. Do that with the second ear as well, and then we will see you back, and we'll get ready, get some fiber fill, and we'll get ready for the nose. Okay, all right, so I've got my piece. We're going to stretch it out. And then I already cinched this without thinking. Actually, I'd already stretched it too, but just did that just to make sure that you have done it as well. Okay, but I did cinch this side already, and I tied it off. Okay, now we're going to put our needle in through that center. We're gonna grab the needle so it doesn't snag on the sides of the work, and we're gonna pinch the top and bring it through. A little hard to do because it's a small piece, but you can do it. Okay, bring that yarn tail through. Then you're going to go ahead and do the same to this side, okay? We've done this before as well. So go ahead and you're going to, reinforce around that circle. I'm going to cut this off. Again, I have such a thing with long strands. They drive me absolutely nuts, okay? I'm sure they do you too. I'm not alone in that. And we're going to reinforce around that outside. Then we're going to take these 2 and we're going to tie it really tight so that the inside is up tight against the outside, and from there we'll move on to the next part. All right, so my knot is on this side, so I'm going to cut this shorter one off. Okay, that's going to be my inside, but I need to get this to the outside rim. Okay, so I'm going to take this longer one And I'm just going to go in between those two layers and go right up to the top edge. And then I'm going to tie a knot just so that when I pull on this, it doesn't gather it in here. So I'm going to tie a little knot. Now I'm ready to begin sewing it on, but I'm going to turn that into the inside so that the knot and that part of the work is on the inside, okay? And we've got our little nose that's going to be like this. We're going to take our piece. I'm going to raise my camera. We are going to place it onto our face like that. Kind of looks like a little piggy, but it won't when we're done. Trust me, okay? And we're going to just let it take its natural shape, just like that, okay? I want it to be nice and smooth on the front of the face there. I'm going to go right down to almost the base of the neck there. There's like hardly, you can go right down if you want, but I'm just a little bit up, maybe 2 stitches, okay? And I just, again, I'm going to just let this take its natural, I want it as wide as I can get it there, but in its natural form without stretching it, okay? Without pulling it too far. This is the natural width of this circle, okay? And then I'm just going to, we're going to stuff it, but we're going to begin sewing first. I'm going to pick up really close to the head, and I'm going to pick up that first, the base of that stitch right there. It's just a little tricky getting started. Just like that, okay? Making sure that that is where you want it. Then I'm going to pick up close to the edge, and I'm going to pick up just like that, okay? I'm going to go around. This stays in place, like it's staying in place as I'm doing this. We don't have to panic about it. It's perfect. And we're going to just pick it up. I'm going to go 3/4 of the way around. Just like that. Every once in a while, lifting it up to make sure it's still centered and in the place that it's supposed to be. Okay, then going back down, getting as close to it as you can, and sewing it on. Take your time with this. You want it to be even and you want it to be neat, okay? And, you know, you got to take your time because you keep getting caught around the ears, but that's fine. Okay, you can even push it down like this as, I mean, don't push it out of place, but just hold it down like this flatter so that you can get in there a little bit better. Because then it's still in its rightful place, okay? I'm gonna go around until I can get to the neck area there, and I'll see you back. All right, that wasn't too bad, was it? Now we're going to take some fiber fill, and we're gonna lift this little guy up, and we're gonna pop that right in there, just like so. Doesn't take a whole lot. Okay? And that's the shape that we want. I'm not gonna put any more than that. I put just grabbed a little handful like that, see? And you pop it in there. I say this all the time when I'm stuffing things. You never want to stuff it so full that your stitches start to spread apart like that, because then it's way too full and it takes away from the beautiful look of your project, okay? But I just want it to hold its shape like that. It's pretty firm, but just perfect, okay? And there we've got our beautiful nose. Now I'm going to finish sewing around. I'm going to join, tie a knot, hide my end, and then we'll move on. All right, so next we're going to make the horn. So I've chosen a purple color. This is Bernat Premium in purple. It's a dark purple. It's a different color from what I've used in the entire project so far, and I did that intentionally. I'm going to use this as a contrasting color from all the, well, it's not contrasting, it blends really well, but it's a different color, so it stands out. So you can do that. Choose a different color that you have not used in the project so far, or you can choose one of the colors in the project. Your decision, okay? And you're going to cast on just like what we normally do, okay? You're going to knit 10 rows and you're going to cast off, okay? Just what we've been doing. So cast on, knit 10 rows and cast off. And that will be the piece that we use for the horn. So go ahead and do that. And when you're finished, I'll see you back. All right. Isn't he just like precious? You can see them coming together. We're gonna take our horn that we just took off the machine. We're gonna stretch it out, Okay, and then we are going to pull our ends together. Pull our ends tight, okay? Just like that. That's the first end. So you're going to go ahead and you're going to reinforce around the end there, tie a knot. Do the same thing on this side. Don't bring them together, but just do the same thing on this side. Pull this end, reinforce around the circle. Make sure you smooth that out so that you have a nice smooth edge, okay? And you don't have it all crinkly. And then reinforce around that end too, and tie a knot, and you'll have a piece that looks like this. And see me back. Once that is done, you're going to take a little piece of batting and you're going to put it on one end. You're not going to put it all the way up, just the bottom half. You need very little, okay? Just the bottom half, and you're going to just push that down into there. Take it actually take it out and go like this. Get it into a nice joined little ball, okay? It makes it easier. Pop it down into the base. This will be our base, okay? And then you're going to take this piece and you're going to fold it over into right to the center piece, and then you're going to, or to the center, and then you're going to roll it over itself until you get it to the end, just like that, okay? And from there, you're going to just hold it with your finger. You're going to put your needle onto this, do it before you put your stuffing in, onto this end. Okay? And you're just going to sew it up. Sew it up halfway. No rhyme or reason. I'm not doing a mattress stitch or like an invisible stitch. I'm not paying that much attention to it, and it's not because I'm lacking in attention to detail. It's because it's not needed here. Okay? And we're going to, because it's rolled up, you can't stay on the same row. So we're going to just go like this. Okay? This will be our base. Okay? Now from there, we're going to make this part tighter, the upper part tighter. So that is twisting over. It's kind of hard to do. We're going to cut this one off. As long as this one is long enough, you can cut this one off and put it right into the center there. Okay? So this is the flap that's on the outside. So we're going to roll. Continue rolling with that. And I hope you can see what I'm doing. And you're just making it tighter at the top than it was at the bottom to give it more of a cone shaped, okay? Which is why we put fiber fill in there. So now our row is here, now it's over here. So we're gonna just pick up here. And sew that tight. Every stitch before you make it, tighten this, okay? And then you're gonna just pick up like that and tighten it. Push that in there and tighten it. It really looks harder than it is, okay? And you're gonna tuck that little edge in there and tighten it even a little bit more if you can. Maybe it's easier if you put your needle in there and then grab over to here, and then when you tighten it, when you pull on your tail, it'll automatically tighten it. Yeah, just like that. It's a little bit easier, okay? So then I'm gonna go back into here. Okay, I'm gonna go, here's where I came out here. I'm gonna go just over a little bit more and then pull, okay? Then I'm gonna do it again, come over to this edge. And then here's where I came out before. I'm gonna just go over just a little bit more and pull. Be careful you don't snap it though, okay? And then I'm gonna go into this part here. And here's where I'm coming out. I'm gonna go up and over a little bit more. And you see how this is taking form, okay? This is looks a little bit twisted, but that's totally fine, okay? And then we're going to do it one more time. We're gonna go right up into here and into that section and pull again. And you just go until you feel that you have done it enough. And this will be enough. I've got my point at the top. It's so amazing. I love it. Okay. Then you're going to be very careful that you don't do what looks like I'm going to do here. There we go. Avoid a knot. Avoid a messy knot. Okay. And now I'm going to just let that unwind. I'm going to do that one more time. Pop that down through there. And pull it. I have enough on here to sew it on, so I'm going to actually take it down to the base. Just like that. Okay? Again, tie a little knot so that when I'm pulling on it, it doesn't gather it up the side. And there we have our beautiful little horn. From there, you're going to take your piece, and here's our little center. We're going to put it right on top of that center, in between the ears, making sure that the nicest piece, like if your seam is running along the back there, put that in the back. And we're going to just pick up part of the head and then part of the base and go all the way around. Okay, you're going to just go around the outside base here. Don't go so close to here that it's hardly got anything to hang on to. Go up a little ways and go all the way around and attach it to the head in a circle. Okay. Okay, now that I've got it started, I can show you better. Okay, so what I'm doing is, here's the center of the head, and this is basically going right over top of that center. So when I'm grabbing yarn from the head, I'm just grabbing around the perimeter of that circle, of that center right there, around the perimeter there, and then around the perimeter here. Okay, so maybe that helps to explain it a little bit better. And then it's quite easy to do, and it's perfectly centered, and you'll love it. All right, so I have that on. It's nice and firm. It's beautiful. I'm going to make sure that my yarn tail is at the back of the work. So go ahead and take it to the back if you're ending at the front. And then we're just going to tie off. And by placing the stuffing in there, like the fiber fill, this holds its shape. So if you didn't put anything in there, it would become flimsy and you know, just lose its shape. So this is how you're going to want to do it. And then you're going to take your needle and you're going to poke it through. Okay. Pull it up, cut it off. Take your needle and lift up on that project so that it's hidden down there. And there it is so far. Okay, so now what we're going to do is grab your machine. Doesn't matter if it's your 22, your 46, your 48, your 40, doesn't matter, because we're going to do our little curlies over a flat panel. So go ahead, set up one of your machines, grab all 4 of these colors: green, pink, purple, yellow, or whichever colors that you're using, and we'll move on to the next part. All right, friends, so I'm going to show you how you make your little curlies. Okay, we're going to do a flat panel over 5 needles. Now, you can put it in flat panel and let the black needles be your first and do that way, but I don't do that. I take it to any of the white needles, okay? If I'm doing a big flat panel, then I do it in circular mode and I put my black ones in the middle of that panel. But I'm going to just do a basic flat panel over 5 needles, and I have a tutorial on how to make flat panels. Okay, look for that video on my channel if you want a more in-depth teaching on that, because I don't want to do an in-depth teaching on flat panels for this particular video, but I will show you how we do it. And we're going to just cast on over 5 needles. So I'm going to take that first needle, that's 1, behind and in front, that's 3, 4, and 5. Okay, it's hooked under that nook of that needle. I'm going to go underneath the divider there and then into my yarn guide. Okay, I have to go a little bit farther until you see that needle drop down just a little bit, and it puts this yellow loop in place. Then you can go back and you're going to watch as it pops over that divider, picks it up. This is row 1. Okay, make sure that this one is down. And now the divider to the right there, that's what you got to keep an eye on. You want to wait until this yarn drops down underneath it before you can go back the other way. See, it dropped. So now I'm going to put a little bit of tension on my working yarn. I'm going to make sure that that loop is down over those red teeth, and I'm going to go back. Okay, and this is row 2. You're gonna, once you do this, you're gonna start, because it's not clicking, because we're not on the black needles, you have to keep track. You have to count in your head, okay? And I'm going to keep going until I watch that divider. It drops down under there. Then I'm ready to go back. I put a little bit of tension on it, make sure that loops over the red teeth, and I go back. This is row 3. Okay, always making sure that the loop goes down over the red teeth, especially on the first and the last needle, okay? So it's going to pop down over that red divider. Then I'm ready to go back. I think that's 4. And that's how we're going to make our flat panels. This is 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 9. See how fast it goes? I've got even tension on my, that's 10 on my, I'm holding it and I'm giving it some little bit of tension, because when you're doing flat panels, tension is, a little bit of tension is good, and more tension for the beginning and of the beginning needle of each row, okay? And so you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna do that for 50 rows. You're going in each color. I do one for 50 rows and I do another for 40 and 40. So I do 3 of each color. 1 flat panel that's 50 rows and 2 flat panels that are 40 rows, okay? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to finish this to 50 rows, and then I'll cast off with you and show you all the rest that I've made, okay? Okay, that is 50 rows. And I will tell you that I do 1 with 50 rows and 2 with 40. I always do, in every color when I'm starting it, I do the 50 row one first, because then I know if I've got one done, then the other 2 have to be 40, and it just helps me remember my which ones I've done, okay? You're gonna cut off a yarn tail, open your latch, unwind this, okay? And then you're gonna just go backwards until all those needles drop down, okay? Now they're all ready to take off. I'm gonna thread my needle and I'm gonna take them off. And 5, okay? Go ahead, make another one that's 40 and then a second one that's 40 rows, and do that for all 4 of your colors. So you're gonna make 3 of each color, okay? It doesn't take long. Once you get the hang of it, you've seen how fast it goes. So have fun, my friends, and when you got that done, I'll be back to show you what we do next. All right, aren't they beautiful? Ah, just love them. Okay, so you're gonna take your piece. You've got one that's probably shorter than the other on one side, so start with that one and pull it tight like that to close it. The reason why I say start with it is then you can just cut it off, okay? So just leave a very small amount there. The reason being is that when we curl these, it doesn't get in your way. Now go ahead and pull on that one to tighten that. Then here's the trick to making a little curly, okay? And you can thank my early years of being a manager in a retail outlet, where when sashes were in in style, we twisted so many of them into this kind of a shape that yeah, I just know how to do it. So you're gonna pinch this and hold it. We did it a little differently than this, but I know the concept, okay? So we're going to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Helps if you hold it with a couple fingers, or it'll fall out of your hand. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and then come down to the end here and just do a couple, 19 and 20. Okay, that's for the 50 row. That's what I found. If I do 20 rows, it's perfect. Okay, then all you gotta do is just bring your two ends together like that, hold them with your finger, take your thumb and put it into that center, and then it just curls. That is not going to come undone. It's going to stay like that forever and ever and ever. I mean, the kids are going to twist it like that and play with it, but it just naturally falls into place. I mean, if they keep doing that, then of course it'll eventually lose its shape. But now you're going to take this and you're going to use your teeth and tie a knot and then tie another knot. Okay? And there is your first little curly Q. Okay? So I have gone and done that with all of them. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to poke my needle into one of these little ends, and I'm going to take that short little one, just like that, and I'm going to hide it and then cut it off. I did 20 rows for the 50 row ones, 20 rotations, and I did 15 for this other one. And I tell you the row counts because look at how much tighter this one is, okay? This one's a lot tighter, and I don't like the look of it as much. I don't think it looks as soft, and I did quite a few more twists for that. So you want to just twist it so you get a nice, it's like a wider curly, and you know, you could do it either way, whatever you like, but I like the looks of the soft. I think that the bigger loops make it look softer, so that's why I wanted to show you both. This is much tighter turn, and this is looser. So I did 20 turns for the big ones, and what did I say? I think I said 15, but I think I did 17 for the smaller ones. Something like that. You'll figure it out, okay? In and around there. And then now we're going to attach them. All right, so I put the first three on, and I'm going to show you. I'm just alternating colors. So pink, purple, yellow, green, and I'm just pulling from the pile. The reason why I wanted some longer ones was so that it's just not all the same all the way around, but I'm not paying attention to what length I'm grabbing. I'm going to let it fall where it may, okay? And so we're going to just thread our needle, and I started on this side of the horn, and I'm just going all around the circle till I get to the other side. And whatever color I land off, then I land off. Okay, so what I do is I just pick up the stitch like that, and then I take my needle and I'm gonna go through both of these halves. So there's two different halves. I'm gonna go through both, and that just helps secure them, just like that. Then I'm gonna go back into the head, close to the horn there. Okay, just like that, go back through. One knot, tighten it. Two knots, tighten it, then down into the head, under the stuffing, and out. Okay? And then when you pull on it, it just, where's my scissors? It just like helps to secure it there too. So I'm going to pull up, cut it off. I've got that next one done, just like that. See, this one I did a little bit tighter. I don't like it as much. It doesn't fall as nicely. When you do it the softer way that I just showed you, then it's more flexible and it bends and folds and sits better too, okay? So I'm going to just grab the next one, which is pink, and I'm going to go pink, purple, and I might be able to stop there. So pink and purple, and we'll see. I might add a yellow one. And I'm just going to go ahead and do that, and I'm going to just join them in that circle around there. Then I'm going to just do a few coming down the base there. Maybe I'll do one here, there. I'll be back with you, and we'll do that together. Okay, just a little observation again as I'm putting these on. I don't want it to look like this is perfectly even. So you've got one on this side over there and one on this side over there. That looks goofy, okay? So I want it to look like I have a side bang going there. So I'm gonna leave this last one on this side, even with that ear there. So it's just behind the tip of the ear. And I'm gonna put another yellow one beside the pink one. And it'll look more like a swooping bang. So I'm gonna go over here, a swooping mane, pardon me, okay? And I'm going to add that. I'm gonna go through 2 layers like I showed you. And then I'm gonna fasten it off, but then with the eyes there, that's gonna look much better. It's gonna look like the mane is coming over to the side rather than split. So just a little attention to detail that I noticed as I was putting this on, and that sometimes when my, you know, when I realize things is after I do it and then I think, nope, that doesn't look good, and it's okay to change it. Okay, so go ahead and do it that way or however you want to do it, and I'll see you back. All right, so for the end, what I did is I went green, purple, pink, yellow, green, okay? So I just staggered them a little bit. So this one and this one down a little bit and over, this one down a little bit and over. I just crisscrossed them like this, okay? So you do it however works for you, but I love how that looks. They can put it in a little ponytail if they want, ponytail. And there we go. Now what we're gonna do is we're going to work on the face and the tail, and we're almost done. All right, so once we have that done, we're going to move on to the eyes. Now, I decided that I was going to use these mushroom button eyes. I got them on Amazon, and they are actually like a button, so you sew them on. And because these are bigger and it has a bigger hole there, I can go ahead and use my yarn instead of thread. On previous videos, I have used thread and a needle, but I don't know what size these are. I bought a big, it's like a flower container full of different sizes. I would guess this is 12 or 18. Pick whatever eye size that you like. I'm going to sew it on fairly far apart, but right up to the rim of the nose. Just about like that, okay? So when I attach one, I'm going to string my yarn over to the other side, and then I'll come back to you when I'm doing the second one, because I also want to pull in this head a little bit like this. It gives it a little bit more shape too, and I'll show you what I do to accomplish that. And if you're not using button eyes like this and you're just sewing them on, then take a white thread and put a little knot, like put it in there and make a little knot just to secure it, and then go underneath and come out on the other end and just pull it just a little bit, and go underneath the stuffing, because that's what helps you hold its shape. And just take that in just a little bit like that before you place your eyes, okay? And that will just make your piece look a little bit better. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to attach this first one, and then I'll see you right back. All right, so the thing I like about these eyes is that you are in control of how tight you put it on there, and you don't have to worry about little hands pulling them off and swallowing them, okay? I put that on very tight. So I'm going to go underneath. I'm going to come up to where I want to put it on, always going under the stuffing because it helps to get a better hold. As much stuffing as you can. Pull on that. I'm going to put this other eye on. Okay, and I'm going to give this a tug. I don't think I'm putting these far enough apart. I'm gonna check it out, and if I don't like it, I'm gonna take it off. But I won't do that on camera. I'm just going to give you the idea of how I do it. So I'm gonna put that on there. Okay. Then I'm going to pull, and you see how pulling that brings this together, but I think that's too close. I don't like them that close. I want them to be farther. I'm going to go a little bit farther there, because when you pull them closer, then it just looks cross-sided. So that's how I do it to pull this piece together, and it just gives a better shape. And then I'm going to tie off and hide my ends, and we'll be done. But I'm going to take this off, and I'm going to move them over further. Okay. Once those are where I want them to be, I switched my needle out so it can reach. Okay. I'm going to go back into there. Go underneath and come out where I started, right there. Okay, then I'm gonna cut this off so it's not so long. I'm gonna tie a knot, and then I'm gonna pull it inside and hide it, just like what we've been doing, okay? These are metal wool needles. You can get them at Walmart or Amazon. Probably many other places too, but that's where I've seen them. Always take your needle and pull up on your work. Do that after you've got your curlies on there too. You don't want to see any of those tails. And there we go. Okay, before we do the nose, I think we're going to do the tail, because that's what I'm feeling next. So for the tail, I put all 4 colors of strands together, and I have a 6-inch board. So this is cardboard. From here to here is 6 inches, and it's what I use for my fringe for my blankets. But I wrapped all 4 together. I held them together, and I wrapped it around 5 times, okay? I'm going to go ahead and make a cut, doesn't matter where, okay? And I'm going to pull those off. There's some shorter ones in there. You can pull those out. Well, you can figure that out later, okay? And I'm going to grab my little guy. I'm going to take 1, 2, 3, 4 colors at a time. So you're going to put 4 of them together. You're going to grab your crochet hook. I'm just grabbing a 5mm. It doesn't matter. It's whatever gets in there. I'm going to, so sit them down so you can see where you want your tail to be. I'm going to put mine right there. I'm going to just go in between, pick up the loops, pull it through, okay? Yarn over. Well, you can make this much taller. Then use your fingers, yarn over, and pull it through, just like that, okay? And we're going to cut this off shorter, but I'm going to do this again. I'm going to take 4 more. And I'm going to go under that same spot. If you can get all 12 or 16 on your hook at once and do it, then that works great too. But doing it this way too will give a nice bigger knot here too, which I like. Okay, so there we go. I'm going to take 4 more. I'm going to go right into that same spot, same exact spot, and do it one more time. That's all I need. I don't need to add any more. I've got 12 there, and that's what I want, okay? And I'm going to throw those out. I'm going to go ahead and take this tail. I'm going to lift it higher, and I'm just going to cut it off, okay? Once it falls, because you did it in 3 layers, they're not gonna, it's not gonna be, it's gonna be staggered, so that's good, that's what you want. But that's how I'm gonna do my tail. Quick, easy peasy, okay? So that's the tail done. Love it. And because you can put a curly thing there if you want, but I like to have variation in my projects if I can. So that's why I like it a little bit different. You can take a needle and separate all these and make it fuzzier. I'm gonna just leave it like that, okay? Now what I'm gonna do is take a double strand of yarn. I'm going to use the same color that I'm using for my horn here. I think maybe earlier on in the video I said I was going to make my tail the same color as this. Obviously changed my mind as I went along, okay? I'm going to pop this up into, I'm going to have my nostrils going across like this and there, okay? Maybe farther apart. I'm going to come up about there, okay? And then go over and then come straight out across there. Pull up on this, I just tightened it too much. There we go. And then go the same distance this way and come out in the same area that I started in over here. By doubling it, I don't have to go back and forth twice, okay? You just have to make sure that that both pieces are the same tension, okay? Just like that. And there we go. We've got our nostrils. If you want to go ahead and make it one more strand thick, you can, but I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna tie off my ends and I'm gonna hide them in my head like what we have been doing, and then I'll see you back again. All right, so how beautiful. I just think he's adorable, but I think he needs one more last thing. I'm going to line up that center of the nose. This is where my belly button's going to go, but I'm going to go up like that. I got a double strand of yarn here. I'm going to just go down and then come up like this. And let's put that back on the needle. And right across out where I went in. Just like that. Tie off, hide my ends, and he's done. Oh. Isn't he just so darn adorable? I just love how he turned out. Friends, if you stuck with me to the end of this video and you made yourself a unicorn, give yourself a hand clap. I'm proud of you.
I would love to see your makes. So please come over to my Facebook group, Koala Knits and Knacks, and post your unicorns. You gotta show me. I just really would love to see them. Post them in other groups too, and share the video, and that would help me out and my channel grow. And I would just really appreciate that too. So friends, I always enjoy spending time with you. I appreciate you more than you know. Take care. Have a wonderful day.